Okay, now we're going to look at some systems word problems. I am going to be doing a couple problems from page 13. I am writing this on a sheet of paper because I have a limited space in my packet. But this is what the problem looks like on page 13. It says, Rima is older than Ken. The difference of their ages is 12, and the sum of their ages is 50. Find the age of each. So anytime you're doing a word problem, the first thing you want to do is define your variables. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to say R is Rima's age, and K is Ken's age. This just lets the teacher, yourself, anyone looking at this know what you meant each variable to be. And then the next thing you do is you're going to set up your equations based on what it says. So we know that Rima is the older one, so I'm just going to make myself a note here. That's not required, but that will help me. It says the difference of their ages is 12. Well, difference, and you don't have to write this, but I want everybody to see it, means subtract. And sometimes students forget that, so I just want to put that there. And since it says their difference and it gives a positive number, we know it took the older person minus the younger person. So R minus K equals 12. If it had equaled negative 12, then we would have known it was K minus R. But the order matters for subtraction, and since we got a positive answer, we know they took a big number minus a smaller number. And then it says the sum of their ages is 50. When it says sum, the order does not matter. But remember, sum means add. So R plus K equals 50. Then it wants us to find their ages. It doesn't matter what method you use here. They didn't say you had to pick a method. So if you like substitution, you can solve one of these for R or K and use that because all of them have a coefficient of 1. I, however, like elimination best. I noticed that they're in columns already, and I noticed that I have matching coefficients. So I'm going to use elimination. I have a matching coefficient for R and for K, but since K has opposite signs, that's the one I'm going to choose to get rid of because I can add the two equations to get rid of that. So 1R plus 1R is 2R, and negative 1K plus positive 1K eliminates, and 12 plus 50 is 62. Then I divide both sides by 2, and I get R equals 31. So what does that mean? That means Rima is 31. How do I figure out how old Ken is? I choose either equation. I kind of feel like the second one would be a little bit easier to solve, so that's the one I'm going to go with. I put 31 in for Rima. Subtract 31 from both sides, and I get that Ken is 19. So then I ask myself, hey, let's check this. 31 minus 19 is 12, and 31 plus 19 is 50. So I feel confident. So I'm going to say Rima is 31 years old, and Ken is 19 years old. Notice I'm not writing my answer as an ordered pair like we've been doing all this time because in this case, an ordered pair doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For one, we don't know which one they meant for the X and which one they meant for the Y. And second, in a real life application, you want to say specifically what it means. Rima's this much, Ken is that much, and help you there. So now let's look at the next problem on that page. Actually, I want to turn to page 14. And I am looking at number 14 on page 14. So number 14 is a geometry problem. It doesn't mean geometry like my geometry class, even though we could do this in there, but this is simpler than that. It says two angles are supplementary. Excuse me. Well, you need to know that supplementary means they add to be 180 degrees. And if you've forgotten that, you need to file it away somewhere in your brain. So supplementary means they add to be 180 degrees. The measure of one angle is 10 more than 3 times the other. Find the measure of each angle. So I'm going to put X as my first angle and Y as my second angle, because we said to begin with, you want to define your variables. And then I'm going to go off of each sentence to see what I can come up with. So it says that the two angles are supplementary, which means X plus Y equals 180, because that's what supplementary means. And then it says the measure of one angle is. So that means I could say X is, because is means equals. The measure of one angle is 10 more than 3 times the other. So 10 more than means I'm going to add 10, and 3 times the other means I'd say 3 times the other angle. Now, if you're doing this problem and you chose a different letter than X or Y, that is fine. And if you chose to put Y equals 3X plus 10, that is fine as well. There's nothing that says which one has to be X and which one has to be Y, which is why we define our variable. In this case, I would prefer to use substitution because a variable is already solved for. If you wanted to use elimination, you could subtract 3y from both sides to get them in columns, and then you could use elimination. I'm actually going to show you how to do both ways. So I'm going to use the substitution method first. I'm going to take what x is equal to and substitute it into the other equation for x. So that would be 3y plus 10 plus y equals 180. So 3y plus y is 4y. Subtract 10 from both sides and get 170. Divide both sides by 4 and I get, out my calculator. Man, a lot of people are doing some makeup work. That's good. I'm going to get out my calculator, and it says 170 divided by 4 is not right. 42.5. So that's y. And the way I find x is I substitute it back in. So x equals 3 times 42.5 plus 10, or I could just subtract it from 180. Either way would work. And that parenthesis is in the wrong spot. So 3 times 42.5 plus 10 is 137.5. So there are my two angles. Again, you can put it in an ordered pair. It doesn't matter there. But I do want to show you, what if I had wanted to use elimination for this? If I had wanted to use elimination, I would have taken this first equation and left it like it was. This second equation, I would have subtracted 3y from both sides to get x minus 3y equals 10. Now they're in columns. I have a matching coefficient with the x. So I would subtract these two to eliminate. So x minus x goes away, and 1 minus negative 3 is 4y, and 180 minus 10 is 170. And notice we're back at the same spot we were. And then we finish solving. So if you solve using substitution or if you solve using elimination, you're going to get the same answer. I'm going to stop the video here, and we are going to pick up with some other things in another video.